Delusional jobless partner sued me for full custody of my child after demanding a paternity test to satisfy his entitled parents. The judge simply laughed in his face, canceled his partial custody, and ordered substantial child support. His parents disowned him and kicked him out after discovering he had been kicked out of the university they had paid for. He is now homeless, unemployed, and obligated to pay child support. My partner and I have been together for more than 4 years, and I just gave birth to our daughter. We kept the pregnancy a secret until our baby was born happy and healthy, due to concerns about complications from my high-risk pregnancy. We told our families after she was born, and while my family was overjoyed, his was wondering if we had hidden it for ulterior motives. They quote, "V always disliked me and think I'm only with their son for money." We took her to meet her grandparents from his side yesterday, and after some polite conversation, they informed him that they would be conducting a paternity test, which he agreed to. To avoid appearing suspicious, I agreed, but later expressed to my partner that I felt extremely disrespected. An argument in which he told me it didn't matter if it was his, and that the test was requested by them to alleviate their concerns. Now, fast forward to today. I was having lunch with my mother when I told her about the incident, which enraged her and caused her to call my partner several names for implying I had cheated. My mother informed my grandparents, who became enraged and told him that he would no longer be welcome in their home for disrespecting me in such a way, when the child looks almost identical to him. We had another argument about it, and he screamed that I ruined his reputation by telling them to edit. Some of you are concerned about how I'm hiding my pregnancy. To clarify, my partner and I live a couple hours away from our families because we live near his university and only see each other on holidays and special occasions. Furthermore, I have a very petite figure and had a small bump up until I gave birth, so I was barely visible as is, which made hiding it much easier. Hiding. It was a personal choice because I experienced severe anxiety as a result of constant bleeds throughout my pregnancy, which made me fear the worst. Comments. Motor Media 2153. His family was aware of this and encouraged it. Why shouldn't your family understand what he was asking of you? Denville. He did not care how she appeared to his family, so why should she care about how he appears to her personally? Someone who asks this of my daughter will find their ass on the curb and no longer welcome in my home. I'd probably bring my daughter and grandchild home with me until he effing grovels. Rogue emphasizes intellect. He also understands that the whole paternity test concept is flawed and unfair, so he didn't want anyone else to know that he had contributed to his family's mistrust of OP boys in general. And here, he didn't care how you felt when he asked for the paternity test, but now he expects you to care about his emotions. That road is two-way. The judgment comes to an end here. 2 weeks have passed since the previous update. Edit before any further comments are made about my stance on his parents. There is more to it than just the test. I had always made it clear to my partner that I wanted his mother to stay away from our child. This was due to how horribly she treated us both during the first year of our relationship, before we moved out together. Second, the woman is bipolar and abused my partner physically and mentally when he was a child due to his ADHD and hyperactivity. This is what he told me. At least, knowing this, I'm obviously concerned about his mother around my daughter. The paternity test was the final nail in the coffin for me. Update. So, 2 days ago, my partner's mother received the paternity test results, which showed that my partner is the father. They immediately called him, ecstatic and eager to take their place in my daughter's life. My partner was also overjoyed, as we would now have their support as a result of the confirmation that my daughter is his. For reference, because he is studying and does not work, his family pays for his education and half of his bills. In contrast, I work and pay half of my own bills. In other words, despite my assurances that we could live on my salary, he is financially dependent on me. To his dismay, after confirming his paternity, I informed him that I needed a break from him and his family's antics. This isn't the first time they've pulled a stunt to irritate me, and I've already received questions about why I didn't leave sooner. I was naive and believed that our love for each other would outweigh their disapproval of our relationship. It was not. That's clear to me now. We ended up arguing about it, despite his wishes. I packed a bag for myself and the baby and drove to stay with my parents. He apologized at night and admitted that his role in the entire paternity stunt was flawed, but he understood that it had to be done even if he was certain she was his fast forward to yesterday. He texted me asking if I wanted to see him because he missed me and the baby. I agreed, assuming we could get through the whole ordeal. My family is still against him entering their home, so we ended up meeting at a park to walk around. He apologized again and explained that the test was conducted so that his family could trust me and willingly participate in our daughter's life. I thought I admitted that I wouldn't let them be around her until they apologized to me. This enraged him, and he began screaming, claiming that as her father, I had no right to separate her from his family, no matter what they did. I disagreed, telling him that if they couldn't respect me, they had no right to be a part of her life. The argument went nowhere, so I returned home with a baby to my parents. He has since texted and called, threatening to take me to court if I deny his family access to her. I don't believe my position on the subject is incorrect, but to him, I am offering it. TLDR, my partner and I are on a break from each other, but during the set break, we started arguing about his family's ability to see her, which I don't want them to because they don't respect me. Comments. Snoots Forward 839. Notice that he refers to his family rather than his rights. Find a family lawyer. Need a judge? Yeah. Opie needs to start posting online and speak with a qualified legal professional. Now there's an Australian _. Sadly, it appears that they have money and she does not. It's terrible. But they're going to get access to the daughter. Update. 9 months later. I hadn't planned on updating, but after seeing all of the requests, I decided to do so. If you want the whole story, it's been on my profile since my last update, which was about 9 months ago. A lot has happened, and as if the paternity test, terrible laws, and disrespect weren't enough, my partner began cheating on me. He claimed that everything was emotional rather than physical. Although I have a hard time believing it, it turns out that these emotional affairs have been ongoing since I was pregnant with multiple girls. He was apprehended after deciding last minute to meet up with one of them at 11 p.m. one night. He claims they were just playing poker as a group and were not alone together. This is a likely story. He was ignoring my messages and calls, so I called his best friend, believing he was with him and had given him away. We obviously broke up after that, and I moved down with my family and daughter. Initially, I tried to be a bigger person and prioritize our daughter's feelings over my own, so I decided to co-parent. He came to see her on weekends, which worked for a while. After his semester ended, he moved to his mother's house and began cleaning. Our place was too expensive for him to pay alone. This, while possibly not a lie, was not his true reason for moving down due to his lack of attendance and poor grades. He was kicked out of university. This is important for later. Fast forward a little, and he started demanding to have her overnight rather than just for the day. I told him he couldn't because she was still exclusively breastfed and needed me at all times. He decided to argue our custody in court once and for all. Granted, I'd never asked him for a penny for our daughter before, or pretty much anything. If he saw her, it was his choice, and I never forced him to pay me child support after we went to court. Not only does he have to pay me a large sum for child support, but he was not even granted partial custody. The court discovered that, in addition to not having a stable job, he does not have a stable living situation after his mother kicked him out onto the streets. Yeah, his mother, whom he was at beck and calling for, left him homeless and disowned him after learning he had been kicked out of university. As much as I want to say it, it's all karma. I do not believe anyone deserves to be in a situation like that. That was all back in June. Now, he and I are doing better. He moved into a studio, and we agreed he could see her every other week, plus on his days off from work. Admittedly, it has been difficult not to cry whenever he is near me. I still feel a lot of pain from discovering I'd gone through so much just for him to find solace with other women, but he and I have mostly moved on from it and are happily co-parenting. Thankfully, I believe I have come out stronger. Our daughter has become my primary focus, and I have advanced in my career to the point where I can live reasonably comfortably. To be honest, it is not the happy ending I would have preferred, but I believe it is appropriate given the circumstances. It is the best one. Comments. Fuzzy_medicine number 247. I'm concerned that you're allowing him to have 50% custody whenever he wants, which will reduce your child support payments if the court makes the agreement official. It may be prudent to consult with an attorney before relinquishing more custody than you wish to permanently establish. Also, you appear to be going out of your way to accommodate his schedule. It really should be the opposite way around. Directly underline Commission 492. I second this. I would not give him 50/50 custody unless a court ordered me to. If you do this, he can go back and approve it. Also, is he stable? He has proven to be a liar and a bad decision maker. I find it difficult to believe that he has become stable enough to be placed in 5050 custody in such a short period of time, from June to the present. Also, the court decided he shouldn't have custody in that manner for a reason. Maybe you should stick with it until the court decides otherwise. I'm not saying don't let him see his daughter, but certainly not overnight or 50/50. Just food for thought. Second story. I'm not sure why my parents always favored my golden child brother while abusing and punishing me and allowing him to bully and assault my cat. My mother just tried to kill me, while my golden child first taught me to read. This is my bad life. I am a 16-year-old girl. I have bad grammar. Sorry, I'm going to write quickly because I'm really mad. But once again, I apologize. Misspelled words and sentences that do not make sense. I live in the countryside and have a few neighbors, but they are far apart. I and my 3 siblings were adopted. My father works, and my mother stays at home. My nephew, who gets everything he wants, lives with us because he refuses to live with his father. I have much older siblings who were born from my mother and father. My mother has always disliked me and my sister, with the exception of my brother. When my sister lived here, my mother directed the majority of her rage at her and a small amount at me. My mother would scream at us and call us horrible names like stupid, ungrateful, B, or just B. My parents have thrown my sister downstairs, wishing she died. In my room, I could hear my mother screaming very loudly. I came out and peeked behind the stairs. My mother was holding my sister by her hair with a large pan in her hand. She pushed my sister down the stairwell. Mom then went through the pan at her. I saw my sister tumble down the stairs. Mom walked away after calling her an ungrateful BC. She then slammed the door closed. I didn't know what to do except cry. My sister wasn't moving or talking. I thought Mom had killed her at first, but it turns out my sister had been knocked out for a while. At the time, Dad, brother, and nephew were outside working on something. They would not have cared anyway, so I didn't tell them. When my sister awoke, she was in tears. Mother's favorite punishment. Mom loved smashing my head against the wall and pushing me to the ground so she could beat me. I couldn't do anything because I was too afraid, and she was much bigger than me. I am a weak, skinny little kid, and my mother is a large woman. When I was younger, I used to enjoy twisting my arms back and holding my head down while she beat my arms. After that, I would cry out in pain. Mom would always say, "Shut up," or "I'll do it again." Parents are beating their sister because she is a vegetarian. My sister came out as a vegetarian and would only eat plants, but when she got into trouble, my parents forced her to eat meat. If she did not eat before the timer went off, my parents would have fun beating her up while calling her bad names. Once, my sister refused to eat an I-ing hot dog. So, my mother said, "You effing cat." Mom yanked my sister from her chair by her hair, dragged her to the living room, and shoved her against the dog cage. My sister had scratches from it. Mom held the hot dog in one hand and used the other to beat my sister. I was very scared. I went outside and told my father what had happened. I stood stunned when he said good. I was thinking, should I call 911? I did not own a phone. None of us kids did, except for my spoiled bratty nephew, who was treated like a king's son by my parents. They bought him a phone when he was about 10 or 12. Back on topic. So I dashed into my brother's room while he continued to play a Nintendo DS on his bed. His room was 2 feet from the upstairs hallway, which was quite small. I looked at my brother, then dashed into the living room to see my mother grab my sister by the throat and say, I raised 6 children, and none of them acted like an ungrateful bee like you. She dragged my sister to the couch and pushed her onto it, her head hitting the hard arm part. My mother said, "Open your mouth, crazy." B. She forced my sister's mouth open, shoved the hot dog down her throat, close her mouth, and hold her nose shut. My sister started to choke, so my mother let go of her mouth and yelled at her to eat the hot dog. Later that night, I was so concerned that I asked Mom why she had done that. She looked at me angry and said, "Do you want me to do that to you? Then shut the F up. Brother is a bully. Mom knows she can do whatever she wants to me because we are in the country. My brother is free to hit, push, and call me names. He makes up stories about me to his friends. That's not true. He enjoys telling lies about me to my mother in order to get me into trouble. He smacked my cat a few summers ago just to be mean and make me angry. While we were stacking wood, I yelled, 'Don't hit my cat!' Mom and Dad did nothing about it. I told Mom, she didn't respond. My brother laughed at me and continued to walk over to my cat while my parents were stacking and not paying attention. I rushed over and hit my brother in the back. He pretended to be hurt, and Mom obviously noticed. She claims that her mother picked up a heavy piece of wood and threw it at me. I think she called me a dummy and I'd lose my mind. When we returned to the house, brother said yes. I agreed with Mom and mumbled, "Poor cat." Mom asked, "What did you say?" "Hold the wood in the air." My brother informed my mother that I was speaking negatively about her. I said I didn't. "He is lying. Mom." Through the woods, I ran for my life. She screamed and demanded that I return. When I returned, she threw another piece of wood at me, as my brother laughed. "Next time, it'll be your head rather than your leg." Mom said that if we had company, the boys would occasionally go into my room to see my pets, and my brother would come down to bring them back. He simply acts like a complete brat. Mom says he's not allowed downstairs, but he's always in my room. He stomped on one of my belongings, causing it to break. I told my mother, and she said, "Well, you should not let him go into your room." I told Mom I wouldn't let him into my room. He simply ran in and broke it. Mom took his side as usual. Every time my brother gets mad at me, even for the smallest of reasons, he goes to his friends and tells them that he saw animals and did gross things with them, including inappropriate touching. I've never done that in my life. He is a sick-minded brat. I tried to tell Mom about it, but she dismissed me. I've seen my brother beat my cat. I told Mom, "Well, your cat just pooped in the bathroom. There was almost a knife attack." My mother once stood up and continued to beat me. She was in such a bad mood that day, and I had no idea why, so I was screamed at and beaten for every little mistake I made. I was forced to sit on the ground so Mom could get up and hit me on the head, punch me, and yell in my ear. She stood up again after I said, "I hate living here." This time I knew it was going to be much more serious when she pushed the chair aside and said, "You're so effing dead. I'm going to kill you." I ran because I was afraid. I got up and dashed downstairs to the back door. Mom was chasing me, but she stopped. She was digging through an upstairs drawer. I opened the back door and attempted to flee because I was afraid. But stupid nephew was just outside the door, coming in after smoking weed. He grabbed me and didn't let go. He looked at me and said, "You're crazy," shaking his head. Mom stomped downstairs, yelling, "This is worth going to jail for." I can't explain how fast my heart beat. She carried a massive ass metal knife. I was afraid she was going to kill me with it. I started screaming really loudly. I was crying a lot. My nephew replied that it was not my problem, and my mother thanked him for not letting me escape. Mom warned, "Get your effing ass upstairs before I kill you." With each breath, I took a step closer to the stairs. I was not sure if it would be my last. Mom screamed at me to hurry up as I walked upstairs. She pointed the knife at my back. Okay, if I had fallen backwards, I know I would have died. All I could think of was being brave like David from the book I read, a child comic. I returned to my seat. My brother was in his room and did not see anything. My sister noticed it while she was sitting. My mother sat down and stated that she believes she's having a heart attack and needs to go to the hospital. My sister asked, "What did you do to Mom?" Dad said he'd get rid of me tomorrow. Mom was concerned about brother. Who? She treated me like I was her child. She was worried. If I go, he will join me. Because we were adopted and my sister refused. Because she was 18 at the time. I threatened to reveal everything my parents did to me. Mom said she'd just make it up about us. My brother came out, sat down, and looked at me. He asked his mother what was wrong. As she held her heart, Maya did something to me. She said. Brother inquired. I did it. I did not say anything. I felt guilty and sad. I attempted self-harm. When I'm stressed, I think about killing myself. My family's name calling and mocking of me caused me a great deal of anxiety. I'm having flashbacks of bad things like the knife. I tried to tell my mom about my depression. She ignores me. I was finished. I took a lot of pills. I'm not sure what they were, but I do know there were a lot of them. When I held them in my hand, I questioned whether I really wanted to do this. My mind played back. My mom is beating me. I remember telling my mother I wanted to kill myself. She said she'd be happier without me, so go ahead. So I swallowed the pill. I woke up dizzy, wondering why I hadn't died yet. I got out of bed. I was moving weirdly. My body was wobbling. I saw someone open my door and heard someone running up the stairs, but it was just my mind playing tricks on me after taking all of those pills. When I woke up in the morning, my mother called to see if I was going to school. I was so dizzy that I couldn't see or walk well. I said no, then I went back to bed. I'm so mad to tell you today that I never died. Hate on me. So my sister moved out. Everyone treated me like a sister. They would treat me worse. As soon as my brother said something offensive about me, Mom would agree with him. When I disagree, I face serious consequences. Like when I attempted to tell my mother about my depression. She ignored me before telling me that I don't have depression and am making it up. I started crying, and she slammed her door in my face. My brother is a spoiled brat who constantly makes fun of me and treats me poorly no matter what. He is always at my back. When I say something to Mom, he will come out of his room to cause problems and get me in trouble, and Mom will agree. Do not shake your head, as he said at random. When I never did. I claimed I never shook my head. Mom yelled at me. I asked why my brother was always causing problems, and I was blamed for it. Mom said, "Stop talking crap. You dislike it when your brother talks about something, but you get to say whatever you want." I was sent out of my room while still in it. I could hear my brother and mother gossiping about me the entire time. Why is she acting like that? She's crazy. She behaves like a sister. She has a bad temper. She's definitely spying on us right now. Only 2 more years. I can't wait another 2 years. She is constantly causing problems. They went on and on. Every day, my mother complains about doing the dishes. Even though I offer, she declines. She complains about the smallest things, such as having to drive somewhere, and she constantly complains about me. Holy *T. I sit in the chair, and the hair lands on it. She will freak out and exclaim, "I just cleaned that chair. Get off." I say OMG because I'm annoyed. Then she asks why I always complain. If my parents fight, I and my brother are victims because they are angry. So they scream at us and force us to do extra chores. My mother once acted like a bee for no apparent reason. One day, I asked for a twin, and she said whatever, so I got one. There was one left, and my brother took the other. Mom came over to get one, looked inside the box, and screamed, "I'm not buying anymore. Effing Jesus fucking Christ." Mom throws the box. She stomps. Mom woke me up one morning around 6 a.m. because she needed to go get my sister's baby to watch her, but Dad's stuff was in the truck, so she yelled and screamed, "Bastard! Bastard!" Me? There have been so many worse things that I will not write about because it took me 2 hours and 30 minutes to write this. I won't tell anyone because they wouldn't believe me, because it's me versus 3 adults and a child. So no one would believe the true story because everyone in my house thinks I am insane. I mean, if I move to a new home, I will be separated from my pets and the little things I cherish the most. I have a bearded dragon, 2 red claw crabs, a catfish, frogs, and will soon get a bunny. My mother can be nice, but Malty is mean. My father is always with me. 3rd story. My 5-year-old daughter began crying and begged me not to abandon her, apologizing if she had done anything wrong, after discovering that I am giving up my parental rights. It is breaking my heart, but I cannot stay. I know this will make me look bad, but I really just need a place to vent. I can't talk about it with my friends or family, and I don't want to. I'm 27 years old and have had an FWB with a guy I went to college with, whom we'll call Mark. We were both young and unprepared for a relationship. Then I became pregnant. I told Mark about it because I wanted to discuss our options, which included abortion, adoption, and even giving him custody if he wanted. I've never wanted children, so any compromise would be acceptable. However, Mark did not take it well. I remember him insisting that we could make it work, especially since we were both in our final year of college. He wanted to marry and have a family. I refused. He got his family involved. They called and texted me frequently, even showing up at my part-time job. I know I have only myself to blame, but I gave up. I had too many things going on at the time, including the death of my mother. The stress from the rest of the family, as well as some personal issues with my best friend that I will not discuss. I remember feeling terrible, but I gave in and agreed to keep the baby, even though I still refused to marry Mark. We now have a 5-year-old daughter together. I am a mess. I've never wanted children, and even though I'm trying, I can't feel any maternal love for her. What makes matters worse is that she is a genuinely good child. She does not throw many tantrums. She is always kind, and she does not have high expectations. I feel guilty about hating her. I constantly feel bad. I only get to have her on weekends while Mark has her every other day. But this does not make me feel better. She talks about wanting to see me and her father together, but I can't. I screamed at her once when she drew a small picture of me and Mark holding hands. I apologized afterwards, but I still felt guilty. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I simply needed to write everything down and get it off my chest. I realize I'm a bad mother. I understand, but I'm not sure how to improve. I quote Mem, not even sure if I want to be better. I simply want to give up my parental rights, but even the thought makes me feel worse. I'm trapped in a hell of my own making. I realize I should have fought harder and probably aborted her. Damn me for being weak, I suppose. Update. I despise my daughter. Some things have happened, and I need to record them. Maybe even gain some insight. For the purposes of this post, I will refer to my daughter as Abby. I ended up telling Mark about my desire to change the custody arrangement, possibly even removing my parental rights. Many people here agreed that it was the best option for both me and Abby. He didn't take it well and texted me about it all week. He insisted that we could resolve whatever was bothering me. We agreed a while ago that texting is fine, but calls are only for emergencies. So when he called me on Friday evening and begged me to come see Abby, I agreed. This is what I really want to talk about. I quote seen Abby cry before, but this was something different. She had a complete meltdown, screaming and crying when I arrived. She just clung to my leg, screaming for me not to leave her. Why did I want to leave her? What exactly did she do wrong? I cried. I was truly horrified by how badly she reacted. Mark's mother informed Abby that I intended to leave her, and she has decided not to visit me this weekend. I had to take Abby to my house sooner than expected, and Mark spent the night as well. He said he's too concerned about Abby and me to leave us alone. I'm totally lost, even with how I said it. I want to relinquish my parental rights. I can't do it right now. The image of Abby crying and pleading with me not to leave has stuck with me. I quote, feeling hopeless about the situation. I'm currently laying on the couch with Abby, who is watching television. She hasn't actually left my side since yesterday. I'm used to her pointing at the television and talking about her favorite characters from whatever cartoon is on. Right now, she's lying by my side, quiet. I hear Mark moving around in the kitchen. He called in sick from work and said he was staying here for the weekend. I'm not sure what to do, and I apologize, but I don't want to leave Abby. That is not an option anymore. I just want to edit and ask for some suggestions for online therapy. What websites should I look for that I am confident will help me and are not too expensive? Mark is already looking into therapists for Abby in the area, but I'd like to request some individual therapy. I could attend online. If Mark is unable to locate a child therapist, perhaps he can find recommendations online. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoy hearing stories like these, we have more in store for you.